Go for that.
All right, we're gonna begin this meeting. It is August 2nd, 2021.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, roll call, please.
Mayor Laughlin,
Here.
Councilperson Sexton,
Here.
Miller,
Here.
Dean,
Here.
Goodweiler,
Here.
Stulman.
Here.
We'll jump right into the consent agenda. How come that's first before the open forum? Oh. Is that how it usually is?
Yeah, the new sheriff.
Consent agenda is 2 items to approve the minutes from the July 26th meeting and approve the claims. Motion, please. I don't have any comments on the claims. I guess we're paying our Sedco dues. What was that? Was last week? Yeah. Hearing none, let's vote, please, Leslie.
Councilperson Dean,
Yes.
Goodweiler, Stulman.
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Sexton.
Yes.
Okay, open forum today. We have a presentation by Emily Swihart of Trees Forever of a community visioning program, correct?
Yes, yeah, thank you for having me. You have some information in your packet. And so I don't want to take up too much of your time. I mostly want to answer your questions about it. But so I'm with Trees Forever. And what I'm wanting to help you understand is potentially what you'd be getting into if you applied for the community visioning program. It is a grant that does not have any money attached to it. So I want to make that very clear. I don't want anybody like at the end saying, oh, we didn't understand. So there's no money attached with the grant that you would be awarded. There's about $100,000 worth of value though out of it. And what that comes in the form of is community planning professionals, research that is facilitated by Iowa State to help then support decisions that are made. You all rely on that information at the tail end of the planning process when you're looking at going towards grant proposals or implementing projects that have been developed during the process. And then the services of a professional landscape architect to design and work with the community to develop these plans. It is a community input process. We ask for you all to participate. We ask for community members to participate of all ages, all demographics, geographic distributions. We want to get a picture of what the community wants. This is not an outside service coming in and asking for free reign and tell you what we think you need. It is a longer-ish process. It's about a year. So there's a kickoff event in November that we would invite you to attend, and then we wrap up with an event in November where you are not the newbies, you are the graduates, if you will, presenting what the community has developed out of this year-long process. You are not left on your own to navigate your way through it. That's where Trees Forever comes in. We help you walk through the process. We call the meetings. We work with the steering committee that's been identified at the beginning. We help facilitate the whole from application through jumping off into project implementation. What you have in your packets is the application information. You will see in there that we need a $2,000 commitment from the community as a way of us knowing that you all and the elected officials in the community are invested and on board with it, because we're looking at public spaces. We're looking primarily at the transportation system. It's funded through the DOT. We're looking at primarily transportation system and public land. So truck routes, pedestrian routes, safe routes to schools, bike trails, farm to market routes that are causing some potential conflicts in town. But that's why we would need you all to sign on and make that commitment. You don't send us a check. That money actually never leaves town. It can be out of anybody's budget. We just need a commitment. I've been working with Matt quite a bit on different projects. It can come out of his budget. Thanks, Matt. It could come out of general funds, any way you want to identify that. What that is intended for is for us to say like, you're willing to put your money where your mouth is, and follow through on some of these projects, but then also as a seed at the end of the process to then start working towards, a project of your choosing. Could be straight up, you just write a check for some sort of project and get it moving forward. Could be used as a match towards the grant that you're going after. It's up to you all to determine how you spend that money, but that's what that language in there is about. I'm gonna stop talking. Do you have questions about it?
What is an end result that we would see, we could see?
Yep.
A streetscape, for instance?
Yes, so at the end of the process, you have two primary products. And so I brought one, you can hang on to this one. You will have a set of what we call boards. These are small because they're printed out 8.5 by 11. You will get a 2 foot by 3 foot printout of all of these to display around town, and I'll hand it around. At the beginning of it is the assessment information, which you're probably most interested in, would be the back of the packet, which is types of projects that have come out of it. So like this is in Peterson, Iowa. Like Main Street character and access is one of the, so like downtown enhancements or trails. This one's intersections and crossings, just making those more pedestrian friendly. Wayfinding sign, entryway signs are often common ones. Like here's some signage enhancements. I know you all have nice signage, you know, but if the community identifies ways that system needs to be expanded, that could be included. Main Street land use. I'll hand this around. You know, I guess you all can hang on to that. That's the first set of products you get. This is my favorite, and you cannot have this one, but this is from Durant, Iowa. It's a feasibility report. Part of what the landscape architects do is help you, and they do it brilliantly. My notes left in there, sorry about that. They lay out cost estimates. These are concepts, so you got to take this with a grain of salt, but it's a starting place for like grant writing. And they can break it down by you know, what might go into a project and how you could maybe save some funds or get some donations or engage other professionals prior to implementing projects. So I'll hand this around. You're welcome to look through it or flip through it. I would like that copy back. That's what you get on the tail end of it. And I will say all of this, so 10 communities each year in the state of Iowa are selected to participate. So it's a competitive grant process. All of our past communities are on the community visioning website. And so you can go on there and look through, you know, like what other communities have had proposed and like what they've done, just to get a little better understanding of what the process can do for the community.
This is not a Tree City USA program.
No. Yep.
So this is basically everything. It's not just trees. I mean, you're talking
Right.
water flow and
Yep.
signage and,
Community beautification.
yeah,
Yes. Yep. Safety improvements.
exactly.
Yep.
So the 100,000, is that spread out over the 10 selected? Is that?
No.
That are 100?
That's approximately what the value is for each community.
Oh.
When you put it all together.
So someday we're gonna improve Main Street here right downtown someday. This could be designed.
Yeah.
With some landscaping.
Yeah. Yep.
And
And in addition, we could look at like how water moves through the landscape. So if there's like puddling issues or if there's, you know, snow removal is considered. We try to look at all the different influences into the landscape to incorporate into those plans. So, and also I don't want you to say like the community will be asked like what they think too. I think that's one of the most valuable pieces of this is like any engineering firm or landscape architecture firm can come in and work with you all, but it's asking residents, it's asking kids, you know, how they get to school and how what that experience is like. It's asking people that with mobility impaired, you know, like how they get around town, you know, if they have a wheelchair or they have visual impairments, like what is their experience and how can the community be improved and better accommodate those folks. active, active folks like running and, cross-country kids have participated before and what is their experience. Yeah, so this would definitely fit into the, a potential project, but it would be more than just it would be, there'd be a deeper level of consideration because of that community input, in my opinion.
So your involvement is for you said a year?
Yes, yep. Yeah, and that gets you through to, like right now with my communities, we are presenting proposed designs to their community. So everyone, at the beginning, we ask people what they think. In the middle of the year and in the process, we ask them to come back and kind of check in with the design team to see if they like what they're doing. And if they don't, then we can, change course. If they do, then those designs are developed further. Now we're at the point of the year where we're hosting community presentations. And so I'm going to go to a fireman's dinner where they have roasted beef and there's everybody comes out for it. Well, we'll have these designs there so that they can be viewed and just talked about. The dialogue that is happening around these projects is really rich and really valuable too. So, and then implementation. My final meetings will be saying, how do you all want to move forward as a committee? So that these don't just get put in a drawer somewhere. And then also, what projects do you think you want to start taking on? Because there's some big scale projects you could propose like this one. You would be waiting until a bond passed or until one of my communities was waiting until they were just off the interstate and they were the emergency route. And there's work to be done on 80. So they didn't want to redo their downtown just to welcome all these giant trucks to tear it all up. So they're waiting on that project and focusing on other ones. So those are the types of implementation conversations we have.
We have a series of dry detention basins that we're going to have with a trail meandering through. But we don't have a plan for them right now.
Yeah.
Is that something where you could help us out with
Yep.
designing that?
Yeah, if it's related to the trail and how the ecological systems around the trail function and influence the trail's use and sustainability. Yeah, absolutely. I want to go back to if the community identifies it. This is all. So that's one thing, I guess, one word of caution is as you develop your steering committee or as you guys commit to it. Generally, the committees always have a good idea of what the community needs or wants. I have no doubt that would come up. But like I said, I just want you to go in eyes wide open. If the steering committee says we want a trail and we're just this is what we're here for. And then that's never mentioned by anybody in the community, throughout the whole inventory process, we will follow what the community is saying is desirable instead of one or two people in the steering committee trying to push through their idea. We just think that's the ethical thing to do and best use of the program.
So I guess what are you looking from us? Some sort of commitment or yes or no?
Yes, I guess I would say a motion to move forward with the application. You would need to submit us a letter of support with the application. Matt's getting a committee together, and so I think we'll work together to fill out the application. We would need letter of support and then a commitment in somebody's budget for that $2,000. And then I think it's always great to have one or two council members serve on the committee, even if you guys are kind of sharing responsibilities. What's happening in these, in these conversations, what's, the long-term vision. You just add a level of knowledge that is really critical in doing these big types of planning activities. That's not required, though. We do need city representation on the council or on the committee. I like having at least one council member there. What concerns you about it? Does anybody have reservations?
Come up with a project.
Oh, don't worry. The community will.
Well, I
Committee,
guess
the
my
money.
concern would be how you gonna pay for it.
That'd be my
No.
concern too.
When it's
Committee
all
the
said and
money, I
done,
guess.
yeah.
Yes.
The $2,000 ain't no big deal, but
Right.
they come by and want Want to do a
That's the ramp
$250,000
project.
project and we're gonna get $50,000.
The grant,
Where's
the
the rest?
grant one's $4.5 million.
So that's where that research piece comes in at the beginning. So spring is heavy, it's a heavy workload for the community. Because the way the process is designed is that we do a survey, an anonymous survey of the community. So there's that just blind research, like you guys can submit that with grants, which strengthens your ask because you've got the data from the community. We also do focus groups. So we have a whole process that we follow where we invite people to give us their input. So we've got research in that regard. So there's two sets of data and valid research you can approach grant councils for grant committees. Also, there's a transportation officials meeting, so it's mostly transportation related. So we bring the DOT to the table. We bring county engineer. We try to bring as many people that are influencing the process together as possible. So then they start knowing about your projects too, and we can make sure that if there are red flags, we can address those before we send it. Like in Durant, when they said we're gonna, Iowa 80 is gonna be redone. Just know that, going in, and so we could talk that through. And then you start applying and you work, to write grants primarily. Some communities do very well with fundraisers or gifts, but a lot of it's grants. This program's been around for 25 years. And so it's pretty well known amongst like the big grants, the state rec, federal rec trails, REAP, CAT grants. So when they see it, they know that it's coming from a community that really wants it and needs it. So you still got to do the work. I don't want to there's still work on the tail end of it. Like these are big projects to do. Those are some opportunities it creates.
Do you do any follow-up, say, 2 or 3 years later to see if the projects have been done or
Yeah.
if a project's been done?
Yeah. And last I looked, and this is on our website too, so you can poke around on there and kind of see the types of projects that have been done. It was like upwards of 90 to 92% of communities who've gone through this did at least one project. Many have done more. Some have done all of them and have gone through the program once and then went through it twice and are looking at doing it for the third time. And what we also like to do, that event in Ames we talked about, is a networking event. We like to connect communities to each other that have done really, have gone through the program and have done really well with it, or have done or had like proposals submitted. So you can say like, well, what worked for you? What didn't work for you? And try to learn from each other. We think there's a lot of value in that too. So
Would Kelowna be one of the communities that
Kelowna,
have they done this program with you? I know they did a lot of
Yeah.
work in their downtown.
not recently. So West Liberty has done it. I think Ely did it. Like Clarence has done it. Tipton did it a long time ago. DeWitt, like I said, Durant, Walcott. It's for communities under 10,000 in population. Manning is the town I'm talking about who wants to go through for the third time. And they're just phenomenal to work with too. So if you had questions, you could reach out to them. Like all their information is available on the web. So
I guess it shows our commitment would be some time amongst a couple of us.
Yep.
Money out of somebody's budget.
Just
you
a
said
line
the
item.
money never leaves town. Where?
Right.
how does that-
it's good faith. Like it would be, like if it was like in Matt's budget, we would just have him write a letter that says I commit $2,000 towards the community visioning program.
So would you work like with Jesse and our West Branch,
Community development
Yep.
group.
their community development group?
Yep, absolutely. We met, what was that, last month? Yeah. So, yep, already talked to them. They're on board.
I'm here. I can
Hi.
confirm that.
Hi, Jeff.
Matt looped us in, and we think that this is a fantastic way to gain some community insight and be a little bit more strategic about where we're spending our time and energy. And I would be happy to sit on a steering committee or help round up people for focus groups or whatever is needed there. And I think we would have some good starter volunteers to offer to participate in this too.
That's the way I'm leaning. I think this would be good to get the community involved and see what the community is wanting us to work on and what they want to develop and where they want to go. That's my opinion.
Yeah, good point. I mean, we sit here, just 5 of us, 6 of us,
Right,
trying to figure out what to do, and
right.
that would help a lot.
Yeah, exactly.
And I know there's none of them in town. Once in a while, we have grumps in communities. I know West Orange has none of them. This program, we actually invite those people to the table because it's oftentimes coming from a place of like deeply caring about a particular issue, and we can help try to focus that energy, and let them be heard. So.
Well, it's kind of like when we had that
Charette?
steering committee for the Kroll site.
Yeah. Would there be a couple of
I thought that was
charrettes,
pretty
design
amazing.
charrettes, or?
Yeah, I'm impressed you know that term. Yeah, we call them
Been
a
through it.
workshop. That's the workshop. Yeah, where we invite the community and the designs are like in process.
Those are fun.
Yeah, yep. That's a critical piece of it. So, and I'll say that about the whole thing because it's really designed to be very effective and strategic with using people's time for a purpose. But I'll just share the story really quick that charrette or that workshop. One community, which will remain unnamed, has a big sauerkraut festival. You might be able to identify them. But this came up like over and over in the like all the workshops and the conversations, and like every time we talked to community members, they were just really proud of sauerkraut days, and that was a town celebration. And the design firm proposed some signage with cabbage on it, and the community came back to that workshop and were like, "Oh no, like that's not what we want." That's why community input's really important, because they could have been that charrette midway point, they could have been left with signage that had cabbage, and that is not how the community wanted to be represented. So they, the design firm just did a hard turn and created stuff. So yeah,
Okay,
those are really fun.
So what's our next step? What do we need to do next? We need
Yep.
a resolution to say yes or no
Yes.
and a vote?
Yep. And then the application is due September 15th. And so I think Matt and Jesse can draft it, work with me, run it by you guys again. However involved you want to be, I guess is up to you. For getting that application put together.
I have a concern.
Okay.
It's not the $2,000. That's not a concern. But my concern is that and this really has nothing to do with your program. This has to do with us 6 sitting here. Is that you're going to ask the community to put all this effort into something, to design something, come up with ideas. And when we look at what's coming down the road in 2, 4, 5 years, do we realistically think that something that's going to come out of this workshop is going to take priority over our East Side water main and sewer projects, or our wastewater, or Cedar Johnson Road, or Main Street? And I guess as a citizen, I'd be ticked off if I volunteered my time and I put a bunch of time and effort into coming up with some great ideas that realistically has no chance of getting done.
But
Or
see, that's
very
where-
low chance.
That's where I would put it back to the group, the community group, and say, we need to come up with a way to fund this. We need to come up with grants. I don't know, if they have, Jesse and these guys know of grants and stuff, I mean, that's part of, to me, that would be part of the community group. How how are we gonna fund this?
But I guess you have to let them know coming in, you
Right.
expect nothing from us.
Well, not nothing, but
Can I inquire about the two roads that you mentioned? Just because a lot of times what we'll try to do is like pair with projects that are already happening. There's a question in the application about like plans that are already been developed. Because a lot of times, if a road is gonna be resurfaced, and maybe, so this happened in Durant too. The road was identified as being, one that's gonna need to be resurfaced anyways, just because it's gonna be all torn up by the truck traffic and the increased traffic there. But then the community identified that people can't actually get to the businesses because the curbs were so high, basically. So we kind of paired those projects together. So when the street is gonna be resurfaced, is actually proposed as a facade to facade, complete renovation of the street. That, and I don't know what your street projects are like, but that's where, sometimes you can actually take a project and the money you're already gonna spend for just a little bit more, make it all the better. So I don't know if that fits. into
No,
those
I
projects
absolutely, and if it
Yeah.
worked, if the steering committee worked that way,
Yeah,
that'd be awesome. But if you're gonna use the steering committee and they come back and say they want a wildflower and butterfly garden with the winery in the middle of it or something, then
that's where council involvement is handy all the way through and having those conversations. And where it's really important to have like all the transportation officials sitting there too, is so you can kind of head off. Also, we can't do wineries, I'm so sorry. Yeah, and to help facilitate those conversations and help them understand also what you all are dealing with. The conversation goes both ways in this program. The council learns a lot about what community is thinking, but it's a real awakening for what, the council deals with or what, maintenance deals with. And I was just in the community, they have a railroad running through it. Everyone wanted a quiet zone. Quiet zone, yeah. Yep, Union Pacific quiet zone.
Oh, yeah, that'll.
And so we had this huge conversation just about what that would require of the community, maintenance of the safety implements being put in. Like, it just was a huge eye-opening experience for all of us, actually. With the dialogue goes both ways. I don't know if that helps with anything,
I'm not
but
against,
yeah.
I'm not against this. I just, that's my concern is I wouldn't want to steer a committee down a road that we probably ain't gonna go down, if it didn't come
Right.
out with what we wanted.
right.
I have a question for Matt. Sounds like you guys have been talking. Do you have, in what she's been telling us, do you have a project that this could help you? She was even talking about snow plowing. There's,
Not specifically one single project, but you can look at multiple projects, like the downtown, so say Heritage Square or something like that, redoing that, like we already had plans drawn up once, multiple times. It could be something like that. It could be if we still have the Casey's partner, if we, it could be that project. It doesn't have to be a huge project like $4 million. Project could be $20,000. It's just, so it could be a bunch of small projects, and what you're saying about adding on top of bigger ones, it just, if you're putting in, if we know we're gonna do a Main Street, you could tie in the sidewalks from Dawson down to the crew, or do storm, I don't know.
Yeah, yep.
So you can do the stormwater stuff as part of that. But get that as a separate grant, not as the part of the project, it'd be part of this. And you just design these things, like Walcott did some stuff with their baseball diamonds.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
they split it up into small projects because they couldn't fund it all at once. So some of it you could even take out of your operating budget, get smaller grants for some of the things you can tackle at a
So they
time.
just kind of picked it apart piece by piece.
Yeah, and you can do that. It's basically giving you plans, specs and prices, and then you just take the projects and you can pull a chunk of it out and say, we want to try to go for a grant for this part. And we want to put this much money into it. And so some of the projects that we already are doing or are in our budget could go into this also. We have to think a little farther ahead since it's a year or two, in the making.
So is there at a point, I guess I'm looking at for the biggest bang for our buck, because you're saying that the value is $100,000. If we came up with 20 projects, maybe there's some small ones, some of the big
Yes.
ones. Is there a point where you say you've reached your $100,000?
No. It's more to do with the complexities of the projects and so student interns are also involved. It's a learning opportunity for them, so we require that the design firms hire student interns, to learn to work with communities and have clients and whatnot. So that's more of the limitation, is just their contract and the amount of work that they can deliver. Almost all the firms I've ever worked with have tried to, at some level, address all the community concerns. Because also you keep in mind that things aren't siloed either. Like if somebody is really concerned about how kids are going to get to school, well, that's not just one single project. That's going to include, how is the road system working? How are the crosswalks working? How is the vehicular traffic patterns? Sidewalk surfaces. Like they all kind of, the firms we work with are really skilled at helping new communities address kind of all those tough issues. And they do
Redoing the
emerge.
sidewalks,
Yeah, I mean, I guess
dealing with the
I
storm.
kind of look at it now as we could come up with all these projects, or say we come up with 10 or 15 projects, and they'd be designed in 1 year, and then this year we do it this project, this year we
Yeah.
do this project. And
Yeah. These are the assessment boards. And there's a lot of words on here, so I'm not going to expect you to read it now. But this is kind of what we'll get out of the focus groups. And so these, you'll see that there's, we have 6 focus groups gathered, or 6 categories of focus groups: active adult, active recreation users, mobility impaired, older adults, youth, their parents. We separate them because kids like to be a little more honest when their parents aren't around. And then the steering committee is its own. And so you can see when we take all that information and distill it, there's different categories, and you can start seeing like patterns of who said what. Now, it doesn't mean like the full categories are the ones that get addressed. We'll look at it and have conversations as a committee and council, and anyone's invited to participate. But looking at like what is emerging. So, for example, when I facilitate these, I like to pull out like the mobility impaired, the older adults, and the youth, and see if there's anything that's been identified of those 3 more vulnerable populations. Then say, parents, steering committee members often, and then like active recreation users, and see if those projects emerge. So like themes, this is a long way of saying themes emerge. Like I've never had a community be like, I don't know, we got like 45 projects, and what do we do? There's oftentimes some patterns that emerge, but you could be the first. I don't know. Maybe you're the first one that we have that problem with. But
Okay,
I don't think so.
all right, very informative.
Yeah.
We'll try to we'll talk about it again at the next meeting.
When is your next meeting?
2 weeks.
2 weeks, if it's not the next, well, September's coming.
The
so
application has to be in by the 15th, didn't you say?
Of September.
September.
Oh, it's
Of
September.
September. So yeah,
Okay.
you guys
I
can.
thought you meant August. I was like,
No, of September. Yes, you do. Okay. Well, if anything else comes up, reach out to us, Matt. Let's see, like we've got like I said, it's a big process. It's a really valuable process. And the communities have done really fantastic things out of it. But I never want to mislead anybody. So like if you have questions or concerns, or like, please let us know. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Yeah.
thank you.
All right, we'll move on to Resolution 2026, approving the city administrator job description. Need a motion, and we'll move to action.
So moved.
Jerry,
Second.
Colton, second. It's pretty comprehensive. Pretty comprehensive job description. These essential physical abilities, I guess they have to be then. All right.
Borrow from someone
Yeah.
on the job description.
Well, you guys did a good job with it.
This is a lot more than we previously.
Yeah, we rolled together.
Tried to make it very thorough.
Central City or Center Point?
Center Point.
Okay.
Center Point, a little bit of Solon, West Branch. Okay. Okay, if there's no further discussion, we'll vote and talk about our next step on this subject. Go ahead.
Councilperson Sexton,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Goodweiler?
Yes.
Dean?
Yes.
Stulman?
Yes,
Okay, position announcement. Resolution 2027 will be preparing the announcement. Give me a motion, someone.
So moved.
Holden.
Second.
This is just says we're going to communicate the information to hire the position.
This is what we'll post in all of the, this will be our posting ad. So it's good. This is what's gone to the West Branch Times for this week. And it will be posted on the website tomorrow, along with the job description and the community profile that I sent out earlier or late last week. And then it will go to all of the different sites. I'm going to be sending it to the Iowa League of Cities, Iowa Workforce Development, the Iowa Association of Municipal Utilities, the International Cities and Council Management Association, something like that, or county management, and then also a Strategic Government Resources. So I think with the 7 or 8 places that we're posting, you should get some hopefully very qualified candidates.
Sounds great.
So yeah, they're going to come to my website, the mayor at West Branch, and I will print them off.
I have a question of, do we have a number in mind of how many candidates we are looking for? I mean, like if we only, let's say we only get 3, do we, then what do we do? I mean,
Interview 3.
Yeah, then you
hopefully
can-
that's not the case,
We
but-
had 15 for the previous job, 15
There
or
was
more.
more than that. There was 21 or something like
Yeah,
that.
Okay, so it's probably not gonna be an issue.
I don't think it's going to be an issue.
But I mean, we had some people that were like the manager at Yankee Candle wanted to be our.
yeah, immediately. A lot of, we'll pick out top 10 probably and do a Zoom interview. A Zoom interview some Friday or Saturday. It's on the schedule here. And narrow it down to 4, 5 tops. That's the goal. This will be my second time through it. But we're not hiring somebody this time. Not hiring a headhunter. We're not hiring a headhunter. That's what I meant.
You're getting my
So
services.
what are you
for
going
free.
through all this
Sorry
for?
about
if we ain't
that.
hiring nobody.
Yeah, she just
I'm
freaked
just-
out.
I'm just donating my services.
Okay, so I got a motion and a second to approve the announcement, the position announcement. Let's vote, please.
Councilperson Miller,
Yes.
Dean,
Yes.
Stulman,
yes.
Sexton,
Yes,
Goodweiler.
Okay, and then the timeline is on page 20. Tomorrow we'll get it posted. Leslie will. On the 25th, we'll cut the deadline off. And that'll give us, I guess I'll convene the committee, or I haven't really decided who we're going to convene to select the top 10. And this is something I want to ask you guys. Do I get a citizen or 2 involved? Small citizen committee or? Seems like it wouldn't be a bad idea. Be
Shows the community we have.
a few more eyes and ears at some point in some sort of way. Maybe sitting in the background at the telephone interviews, the telephone Zoom interviews, some citizens sitting in the background, just listening. They could provide input. I don't know how that could hurt.
Could we involve business leaders? Some, I mean,
Yeah.
one or two,
I've
I
got-
mean, not,
3 people in
Everybody,
mind right
but-
now. 3 people in mind right now. 2 of them, one of them doesn't live in town. 2 of them don't.
okay.
If that'd be a problem or not. So in the coming few days, weeks, we gotta get that figured out. I'll take anybody's advice. Anytime. So unless I hear specifically from you guys, I'm gonna move, that's what I'm gonna
So
do.
what you're saying, Roger, between August 25th and September 11th, there's going to be another meeting in there to sort through the applications and narrow it down to 10. Yeah.
And also during the time between now and then, you'll need to sit down and develop interview questions. Because we don't have any specifically for this one. I don't think I have any information on that, so we'll want to.
Crap, yeah, we gotta come up with questions.
Would that be a special meeting or how do we do that?
No, I think,
I can ask around for some, maybe Kevin can, maybe, we can.
Callahan's retired, right? Maybe he'll give us the questions since he ain't doing it no more.
I'll reach out and see if I can find something to get you started.
what do we need, 15 questions, 20?
It's like 2 weeks.
Yeah,
Because the questions will be
5 or
longer.
6 pertinent questions. You don't need
20's 20, more than 20.
you don't need 20. You ever had 20 questions asked you in the job interview?
I think John Kessler asked me too.
You want the job?
How much you got?
That's about right.
Okay, so there's a little work to
Answers
do.
to under 2 minutes.
That's true.
So we got work to do yet still and the last couple weeks have been pretty hectic for all of us, so we get Hoover Days over with here next week.
So I'm out of town on September 25th. I'm going to be at that meeting via Zoom.
Is that a,
That's Saturday.
That's our final.
well, the 25th is a Saturday?
Yeah, that's the interview date. That's this is a tentative timeline thrown out there, trying to keep that target date of October 4th of getting someone hired that day. So you can have a start date with November 1st. We need to move things around based on your schedules. We can do that.
So sometime after the 25th, we need to have a meeting, is that right?
Yes.
Someone will need to go through their resumes.
Like
Yes.
shortly after the 20th, are you gone all week?
I come back on the 26th
Oh, okay.
We say no September.
September.
September, I see it. I got it. Okay, well, August 26th, 27th, we're gonna have a meeting.
Nope.
We're gonna have a meeting, get together. To sort through applicants. Does that have to be closed? Closed meeting?
Yes.
Yeah, I think it should. Personnel. You don't want, I know.
Doesn't have to be.
Yeah.
He's right. It doesn't have to be by law.
Most of a lot of those applicants don't want their name
That's right.
out there. that
So
they're-
we'll have a closed session.
That early.
to discuss personnel.
Eventually, they're gonna have
Right.
Eventually, they're gonna have to.
And we're gonna go through, I mean, all we need is a couple hours. We'll go through resumes.
It doesn't even take that long
Right.
usually.
Yeah.
It's pretty.
Yeah.
The cream comes to the
That's
top
right.
pretty quick.
Okay, so plan on that. That's our first step. And in the meantime, I'm gonna make a few phone calls and see if I can get some citizen. They wanna be involved.
Here's my input on that.
Do, tell me.
I've argued with you. I'm not gonna argue with you about it anymore. The only thing I'm gonna require is if you're gonna have a committee, they gotta live in town, because there's no sense in them being on our committee if they don't even, they'll be being transparent to
Alright.
somebody that lives in the county.
But what if they own a business in town and live in the county?
And they're an HR personnel person.
So if you want to get some advisors in, then call it that, but don't call it a citizen.
They're not gonna make the decisions. I'm looking for advisors, yes, is what I'm looking for. Now, five would
Yeah,
be, five would be too many, that'd be tops. 4 to 5.
I could see somebody that's in the business of doing the hiring.
Right.
Corporation.
Maybe they can
Yeah.
read something through that we can't read on a resume. I've never hired anybody on a resume. I just, hey, you want the job? Sure.
We have two. We've hired somebody on.
Yeah.
right? Twice.
Twice now, in my entire life. Bear with me.
Once it was horrible.
Wasn't our fault.
Once it was.
Okay, we're gonna move on. This is our timeline.
Make it quick.
Oh,
If you like it.
We on,
It's just a motion to approve the timeline.
all right, give me a motion to approve this timeline, please, someone.
so moved.
Nick will second. All those in favor say aye. Aye, I can vote on it. That's a yes. It's approved. Did we do the resolution 2027? We vote on that?
Yeah.
Okay, 2028 ballot language for a change in the length of term of members of the West Branch Library Board of Trustees. This is some sort of state inconsistency.
Yeah, well,
Is that right?
years ago, we changed the length from 6 years to 3. Well, by state law, you have to have the voters approve that. So basically, the state library board or state library basically said you got to go back and finalize this step or your funding can be in jeopardy.
Okay, so let's just get it on the
This is
ballot.
something that's going, lots of cities are doing this.
Much funding do we get from it?
I bet that's Nick.
From the state.
Yeah. Probably not that much, but.
Right, costs us more to do.
Give me a motion for someone.
I'll second.
Thank you, Tom.
Here's Nick.
Got a question for you, Nick. How
Yeah,
much money do you get from the state?
Roughly about 3,500 to 4,000 a year. Plus all the other services that we have through them. So basically to get any of the CE or the materials delivery or anything like that, we have to meet these qualifications.
Thanks, Nick. All right, we got a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Go ahead.
Councilperson Sexton,
Yes.
Dean,
Yes.
Goodweiler?
Yes.
Stulman?
Yes.
Miller?
Yes.
All right, resolution 2029, setting a public hearing on the environmental impact of the West Branch wastewater plant improvements. Motion, please. This will be for the next council
No,
meeting,
it's gotta be a 30-day notice.
September 20th.
Yep.
Need a second.
Second.
Something we got to do. Any discussion? None. Go ahead, Leslie.
Councilperson Sexton,
Yes.
Miller?
Yes.
Stulman?
Yes.
Dean?
Yes.
Goodweiler?
Item F, speed zone reduction on Main Street. All right, so we had a turn lane going at one time. At one point, we had a stop sign. We agreed to install it. Sounds like that doesn't want to happen. We need to reduce the speed zone. I think we can do it in two ways. So Corey, is this going to take 3 readings?
Yep.
Or Corey's sitting in his easy chair.
We can combine them though.
We could combine 2. This may not happen before school starts, though. So I'm getting that.
Oh, yeah, he can.
There's nothing in our packet about this. So
It's a,
you said we can do it one of two ways. but you're not elaborating on what your two ways are. And the last thing I have is a picture of a sewer lagoon.
Me too. Was this added at the end by me? Like
Yes.
the last minute, yeah.
This is the last
Because-
entry.
We need to do something. School's gonna start soon. We told the school we would do something in front of the school there. So I just gotta make sure we do what we gotta do. Reduce the speed. I'm kind of convinced now that a stop sign is probably not a good idea unless it's a rollout stop sign.
That's not.
Not a good idea.
So do we have any idea if we can get any assistance on speed limits coming into town from Johnson County?
I guess as they make MPO do a traffic study before they're gonna reduce any speed.
Well, that was done in 14 and 15.
I don't know if that actually, if the data would be good enough. Dave's on here though. Pass off to Dave here.
Corey,
Wait a minute, time out. No. The county doesn't get to decide what we decide to. set our speed limit on.
To reduce the speed coming into town.
Well, we said it can't go from 55 to a 20-mile-an-hour school zone.
Yeah.
So if we make our 20-mile-an-hour school zone, they have to make their adjustments as needed
well,
backwards.
we can do it. It's 35 now. We can go down to 25 right after the 35. Shortly after.
I wouldn't do a 25 full time. I would do a school zone.
Okay, so I had a nice chat with Matt today about getting 2 yellow, just like we have right out here. School zone signs during school hours.
When flashing.
When flashing, it's a 25-mile-an-hour speed zone.
Perfect.
Would that be agreeable?
Well, I guess I'm looking at where we're gonna do the intersection at Cedar Johnson Road in the near future. If we get Johnson County to post signs that have reduced speed ahead,
That
which
will
they do
come
not
later. I
have,
think that would come later. Yeah.
then the whole idea of the intersection initially was to put a roundabout in there to slow traffic down. So at that point, we were gonna go 25 mile an hour from Cedar Johnson Road all the way into town. Why would we now backtrack and go 35 part of the time and only 25 when it's school's in? Talk about confusing.
I don't think there's any reason why it needs to be 25 down through there.
I don't think it has to be either. That's too slow.
It's
for
a
that-
half a
for that
mile in
long.
town. It takes you an extra 10 seconds maybe to go that distance. Not even that.
Okay, but that could happen later when the intersection is all complete. Johnson County could ramp it down from 55 to 45, and then in town it's 35.
I mean, a lot of these communities, you come into
intersection.
town, they have a sign saying reduce speed ahead.
It's
Then
out there now. It already is. It's out there. And then it's-
Chief Hannah, what's your input on this, please?
We talked today briefly, and one of the suggestions was just having that sign for during the school hours. The other thing to consider too is that 35-mile-an-hour zone is in a residential area, so it's already designated as a special speed restriction. So essentially, if you wanted to make it 25, you just vote to delete that from the code.
Is that in a residential area?
It's got residential on one side now.
There's 2 houses.
Well, but the state code sets what these definitions are in there. They have like 3 definitions: urban, suburban, and residential. I mean, that's why Corey said there's special speed zone, because if you don't follow the state code, you have to call it a special speed zone.
Hey, Corey, let me ask you a question. Should that be 25 now since it's quote unquote adjacent to a school?
Well, and that's another reason where the special speed zone comes in, is since it's right next to the school, the city can designate it as a special speed zone and it not be 25 miles an hour.
Like it is now.
Yeah.
I'll bet we never designated a special speed zone.
It seems like the simplest thing to do would be 2 yellow flashing signs and a school speed zone.
The 20, by state code, it's 25 miles an hour in a residential or school district zone. That's the, if you don't have a special speed zone, that's what
That's what it is by default?
by default, yes.
Just because it's in front of a school?
That's the state code provision on speed. 20 miles an hour in a business district, 25 miles an hour in a residence or school district.
School district, is that where it's the district being where their property begins?
Why don't we just do a universal speed limit? Let's just make it 25 all through town. Then you come into the city limits, you go 25 miles an hour.
Take it downtown.
Here, which is fine.
Cedar Johnson.
It's 25 in here.
25
It's
coming in from
25
the
that
east.
way, it's 25 that way. At some point. So by default, it is 25. The 35 is the special.
Yeah, that's why it's called
35
special.
is the special.
That's why it's called special
The
speed
problem is
zone.
you can't go from 50 to 25.
Yeah.
You can't go from 50 on Hoover Highway down to 25. There has to be a little section of 35. Is that right?
Speaking of, just real quick before I get, speaking of speed limit signs, do we have an employee that's responsible for straightening them? Because there's, you go down Fawcett or whatever, they're all laying over and they've been like that for years, man.
We straighten them and they blow back over. So I don't know. There's certain ones that we're going back and we're pulling out, like out the meadows. We have new signs in, we'll pull them out, put different things on it. They won't stay straight. Yeah, we know that they do that. We just have-
Okay, so we know there has to be a certain segment at 35. Is that correct? Because you're going from 50 miles per hour now. We got to have a certain segment at 35. Am I wrong or on that or right? You can't go from 50 to 25.
Why is it our responsibility to make it, to go from 50 to 25? We put 25 at our city limits, that's it. I mean, we didn't do that east of town. You know, it goes 55, 45, 35 in. The county did that. We didn't do that.
South of town, the same way, 45, 35 to 25
Coming into town.
from the south.
It's weird though, because the speed limits
50.
don't match on the road.
Yeah.
You can speed going out, you can't speed coming in.
Which I thought that was illegal.
Apparently you can pick up speed. They
You
want
mean
you out
south
of
of
town.
town?
Yeah.
Oh, that's messed up, man. If I ever get a ticket out there, I'm,
Depends on which way you're going.
Just remember the corporate city limits go down the center line of the road.
Yeah. Yeah. If you have the right agency, write you a ticket.
Well,
I don't have an issue with 25 or
so where are you talking about putting
Because-
these yellow signs?
I don't think
would
we,
just
I don't
say
think we can do it. It'd be too confusing. Because if you got a school zone, the yellow light's flashing from 8 to 5, how are you gonna take care of the traffic? For football games, basketball games.
I'm gonna say school activities don't end. when
Yeah.
school ends. And we got a crosswalk there now. That's gonna be a whole group of new people coming off
there's
Dawson.
a crosswalk.
And right now 25 starts the bank. So we're gonna say it's okay, can't go 25 during a school, but God forbid your kid's crossing Dawson to go to football practice or after football practice. Now you're
Okay.
fine to dodge cars at 35 then, but not between 8 and
So
5.
what if we did a flashing yellow?
No,
I think-
Roger,
I think it's
no,
just
that's not a
25
good
at Cedar
idea.
Johnson.
Let's make it universal and don't confuse the issue. 25 when it hits Cedar Johnson all the way into town.
It's not gonna, like Jerry said, it's not gonna add, I mean. To
Cedar
go from Cedar Johnson to the bank at 35 or 25 is gonna add 30 seconds to your day. I will
2
take,
seconds. Only even that.
okay, I said 30 seconds. I'll take 30 seconds to my day. Not to
To
hit a
save a
kid
life.
crossing at Dawson Street going 35.
When you know that the speed limit's 35, Nobody's gonna be running
No.
35, they're gonna be doing 40, 45.
doing 50 coming
Yeah, I
up.
mean, there's a lot of people that
That's
go
my
way
issue
quicker
is
than
how
that.
do you get them slowed down to when they get to 25-mile-an-hour speed limit? And that has to come from
Sounds
the
like,
county.
sounds like a
So
good
that really
spot
no
for chief
responsibility.
to sit.
Where would we start the 25 speed zone?
Cedar
At Cedar
Johnson.
Johnson?
You have to,
City
because
limits.
that's where
Well,
the
there's-
schools start.
What's the speed limit on Cedar Johnson?
It's
It's
35 going north, 25
Whatever
going
you
south.
want,
What?
whatever you want.
I don't even know.
It is.
The whole road is 35
Needs to be
With-
25, it's residential.
with the exception of the north part that runs parallel with Bickford Drive. That's 25.
I thought it was 35 one way and 20 and 45 the other way.
No, it should be 35 both ways.
Should be, but
Needs to be 25 also.
Okay, so right now it's 35 by special Excel zone that we created.
Yes.
How do we get it to 25 then?
Delete, do what Corey said, you do delete the special speed zone and by default it goes to 25.
Can we do that at our next?
does that require, that doesn't require 3 readings? Or is
An
that,
ordinance requires 3 readings, yeah.
No problem.
so in 2 meetings, we can have that issue.
Is that a consensus then to reduce the whole thing to 25?
Like,
Fine. As long as we make it consistent, and do it with the other streets that are residential also.
It's gonna take some getting used to, but I guess it's not a bad idea.
Well, I mean.
Well, you're gonna have
you
no
took
entrance
people-
going to your house.
Darn right I will.
I'm not gonna use that.
Oh, you've already
Good
used it.
point.
You've already used it.
It took people months to get used to the stop sign at Alfred Street. I don't know how many people I saw
I
go
ran
through
that
that.
alley. I ran that.
Yeah, well,
Months.
Nobody stops there.
Well, yeah,
They're still running about
California style.
twice a
They
year.
still
Okay.
run Main Street.
Thus, the stop sign on Main Street would be a bad idea because it's in front of the high school. Is-
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
at least make it.
For now, it's a bad idea.
You want to back up traffic, make them stop.
And-
go, stop and go.
Until school,
Should be at
middle
50 to
school
25.
starts in January, it's still just one high school entrance out there. Until January starts. The middle school doesn't start till January out there.
We're gonna use
So-
a new it.
It's gonna be same as
Same
it
old,
has
same
been for a little while.
So it might not be so.
The middle
necessary to
school
rush
is what
the
I'm
meetings
worried
for
about, the middle schoolers that are gonna be walking out there, not the
Well,
high
I mean, we
schoolers.
just
Right.
do the normal. Okay.
So I'd like to, on our next agenda, then I guess I'll call for, it. We'll get a resolution to change that to 25. Eliminate the special exception. I'll talk to Corey.
You can still make it a school zone, right? Then the tickets are 4 times as much.
Yes, they're jacked up.
It should be 25 and it should be a school zone from Dawson, to Johnson Cedar. So if you want to speed there, you can have fun paying the $400.
Corey, do fines increase in front of a school? Or can they? Speeding fine?
Not off the top of my head, I don't believe so. Only construction zone.
So for now, we probably wouldn't do a school zone sign or any sort of signature school zone marking.
Wouldn't need to if you got it.
As long as we,
25 mile an hour.
as long as we slow the speed down, we're doing our thing. Okay, well, that would save us $12,000 having them.
I don't know, wouldn't, how much does the sign cost?
How much does the sign cost?
Yeah, what's the sign cost?
$300.
$100? What would be the, I mean, if we're all about safety, I mean,
I agree.
designating it as a school zone, so people say that aren't from here, that are
Makes me
coming
think
down that
twice.
road, say, oh,
Yeah.
school kids.
It does make me think again.
It does make a difference, I believe. If it's a school zone, you're more aware of looking for kids walking
Yeah.
than just a regular 25-mile-an-hour zone.
If you go out American Legion Road, that new elementary school.
Yeah,
They slow it way down there when you go through there.
Yeah.
they got flashing stuff.
But there's no turn lanes or anything there yet. So, which they may
Huh.
be doing this year, with big roads under.
Oh, they are.
It's all torn up out there now.
Oh, it's a mess.
That's
Yeah,
a mess out there in the morning.
Okay, so Corey, I'll talk to you. We'll drop a resolution to eliminate that special speed zone. And change that back to the 25. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and Kevin, would we have to designate that stretch as school zone in the code?
if there's not gonna be a different penalty, I don't know what the. You can
Yeah,
still-
I don't,
Why
It's
don't
not-
we
I don't-
designate it a school zone? Shouldn't we, anyway? It is a school.
Yeah, but like out on American Legion, there, it's like 40 miles an hour and they put the speed down to like 20 when you're going through there. So that's where but that's only from it's only from 7 to 9 and 4 to 6. So it's, if you're gonna have everything be 25 here, and that's the school zone speed, what's the point?
yeah, that's true.
Have flashing lights out there.
They do, and they have the thing that shows your speeds, if your
Yeah.
speeding is
Yeah.
looking at you like.
Those are helpful. They
Really
really are.
are. You're like, God, I need
I
to get down to
can
that.
check my speedometer with
Slows
them,
me down.
make sure I'm doing 45.
Yeah, that's one.
All right, so that's our strategy. We'll reduce the speed from Cedar Johnson on.
So do we need to contact Johnson County and let them know that we are doing this?
Probably should, see what they want to do about it.
So if they would like to
Yeah,
change theirs
Slow it-
from
slow it down
50
sooner.
to,
Or at least let you put a sign up there that says,
50 to 45.
Reduce speed
slow
ahead.
them down. Yeah, reduce speed ahead, yeah.
All right. I can work on that. Okay. Moving on. City staff, anybody? Melissa, Matt? Chief?
I can say something real quick.
Yes, please.
Okay, well, Hoover's Hometown Days is coming up this weekend, so we're excited to see everybody out and about. You can get more information on the website and on Facebook. We have the events. I just want everybody to know that we're really trying hard to keep everybody safe. So social distancing, masks if appropriate, and probably most important, if you are not feeling well, while we'd love to see you, we'd prefer you to stay home. That's my little service announcement there.
Your service, thank you.
Mhm.
So the parade starts at 10. I'll have a float ready, parked in front of the nursing home. We'll be there by 9:39. Grand marshals are the teachers. They're driving a school bus. Teachers, any school administration, staff. They're going to be hopping on a school bus. I think it's going to be the same parade, pretty long usually. We got candy to throw. I think I'll have hay bales to sit on, I hope,
Hopefully straw
versus hay.
versus hay. Hay can be pretty.
I don't know. Fawcett said rye. Is that right?
Probably.
Okay.
I do have I've heard some comments from people saying they had no idea that the fireworks were moved from to the cemetery. So I don't know how that's been posted.
Melissa put a nice posting out today.
I think that actually went out maybe even last week. We've kind of been pushing the social media thing. Also we have some spots reserved at Cubby there's an online registration for persons with disabilities and veterans that they can go ahead and sign up online, and we'll make sure to save them a spot. That's going to be open till the 4th. And we'll keep pushing hard the fireworks change.
Okay, good.
Could our friendly newspaper put a front headline? Some sort of little headline?
You can't,
Oh.
can't force people to.
All right, you know what to do. Okay, Matt, Melissa, Chief, Kevin? Mayor and council.
I have something from Melissa and Chief Hannah. It's been brought to my attention that there's been some vandalism down at Bronick Park. Is it time we start locking that park up at night, or what? Do you folks have any suggestions?
This is something we've talked about in staff meetings. It's been an issue for as long as I can think. Yeah, I don't really have any good suggestions right now. We have talked about putting cameras down there, at least that way we can see who's doing it and or when it's happening. We also talked about locking the bathrooms and only having them open when there's a reservation for the shelter or for the park. So we're brainstorming, trying to think of some different options. It's hard because it's very isolated down there. So it's a struggle.
To a camera.
And the camera has to be hooked up to Wi-Fi.
Yes.
So how are you gonna get the Wi-Fi?
Can't you put like a deer stand camera? A deer stand camera with a little chip in it? Yeah, they're not that great for
We did-
people and stuff.
We did trail cameras before down there to try and catch it. It's probably been about maybe 3-4 years ago. That really wasn't effective. So we'll keep working on it.
Chief Hannah, do you have any idea as to who's doing this?
Well, there's always a handful of individuals that are usually responsible that we could probably go to, but without witnesses, it makes it pretty tough.
Okay, thanks. Hands out, I guess. Anybody else? Looks like Dave just logged in, maybe.
Been on there.
Roger. Yeah, go ahead, sorry.
Brush pile, where are we at on brush pile? Are we moving it or what? I mean,
That's part of the discussion next in the closed session.
Oh. Okay. And then the new road or concrete on 4th going on to College, making a right-hand turn from 4th onto College, there's a pretty good dip. I mean, it's very noticeable. Was that planned or?
Yeah,
Oh,
coming
yeah.
off of 4th Street onto College to the
Yeah.
west. Yeah, when they put that back in, they had to put the road in ADA. So before it just went down at an angle following the slope. When you replace it, you have to put it back in ADA. So it has to be less than 2% cross slope on the walking surface from sidewalk to sidewalk. So that determines how the rest of the road is set.
Kind of like the dip on Elephant.
It's the same as Oliphant, the south end
it's a
So
Oliphant.
the same thing's gonna happen on 5th and College?
No, if you do the whole width of the intersection, you have to put it back ADA, so where 5th Street isn't, the whole thing isn't torn out to where we're redoing both sides of the street. There will be when we do. Trying to think. There's not a crossing from the south to the north, is there? I guess I can't picture. But yeah, there has to be. You're supposed to make the walking surface like a sidewalk, according to the ADA. So if we want to put it back ADA, that's what has to. And using road use tax, you're supposed to follow ADA.
Those are the new
Kind of
rules.
bound by that.
New rules.
Well, I get that, but it also
Are you talking to the
becomes,
west when you turn off the fourth, to the west? Go to the new bridge? In other words, this whole intersection should have been thought of when we did the street, so the street could have been brought up. That's what you're talking about. Yeah.
John has either brought up College
Yeah.
Street quite a bit or lowered Fourth Street quite a bit, which then impacts the next intersection. And the net, I mean, it's without doing like a total engineering of everything over there, it's difficult to.
so the crosswalk has to be level and straight,
You have a 2%.
and then you gotta drop off that onto,
ADA looks at the walking surface first and the street second. It's the street secondary to being that they don't worry about that as much as.
well, I don't notice it on most other streets, but
No, and it's, you're only gonna notice it on places like all of it, where you come around the corner and it goes uphill, sharp right there. Fourth Street is quite a bit higher than College Street, and then it drops off. So Fourth Street levels up and it goes uphill again. So on the east side, if we were to put in a crosswalk there, it's similar. Fifth Street on the east side would probably be similar, just because of, which is kind of why we didn't touch intersection at Sixth Street. When we put that sidewalk back in, 'cause there's a lot more that goes back into it than just putting in the ramps.
well, then we need to put a dip sign in there or something. I don't know, it's catching people off guard.
So so you're going on Fourth Street and you turn,
You're at the stop sign, you turn to the right,
going which direction?
Going east.
west. You turn,
So you're going towards the
Oh.
bridge.
yeah,
And it's right there. I mean, right there at the, I guess I don't understand how it can catch somebody off guard. I mean, how fast can you be going if you stop?
you're
at
not
the
going
stop
that
sign?
fast, but it's that noticeable. You're not going that fast. You're not.
I'm still not used to Oliphant Street up here. It hits me. Everything on my dashboard flies to one side. It's just-
No, it's not.
That's 'cause you
It's
turned the
not
corner
like
and going
that.
about.
It's not like that.
It's just something we gotta get used to.
It just is,
All right, it is.
just
Anything
something I wouldn't expect with two brand new roads, but or brand new intersection and roads.
We can
Anyhow.
follow ADA. It's kind of-
I mean, it is what it has to be, so
The engineers won't.
there's nothing
design
we
it
can
that
do
way.
about it.
If it's, the engineers won't sign it that way.
That's why we need to keep our projects smaller so we can keep them out of it.
But at the same time, if you don't put something back ADA, somebody gets hurt on it. No, so,
They pay for it either way.
yeah, I mean, the days you just nail it, throw something in and put it how you want it to be without following.
Okay, we ready to adjourn?
Yep.
Motion to adjourn, anyone? Got a
So
motion?
moved.
Colton,
Second.
Jerry seconds. All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye.